As a huge fan of horror games myself, I decided to put together a list of my all-time favorite terrifying titles that I highly recommend checking out in 2025. This list isn't just about the big names you've already heard of. It's a mix of iconic popular games and hidden gems that have stayed in the shadows but are totally worth your attention. And before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. What are your favorite horror games? Drop them in the comments below. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard reshapes the survival horror genre with its bold return to core elements of terror, resource management, and atmospheric storytelling. The game distinguishes itself from previous installments by shifting to a tense first-person perspective, plunging players into a suffocating and chilling world where every creak of the floorboard feels ominous. The game follows Ethan Winters, an ordinary civilian with no combat training, who ventures into the backwoods of Louisiana in search of his missing wife, Mia. His investigation leads him to the decaying, grotesque Baker family estate, a nightmarish plantation riddled with secrets and unspeakable horrors. What begins as a desperate rescue mission spirals into a harrowing fight for survival against deranged foes, bioorganic monstrosities, and the mind-bending influence of a mysterious infection. A defining feature of Resident Evil 7 is its intricate narrative structure. Scattered VHS tapes found throughout the estate allow players to experience pivotal events from different perspectives, unraveling the twisted history of the Baker family and the origins of the bioweapon nightmare. These moments provide context to the main storyline while offering some of the game's most intense sequences. Chordosis is a cosmic survival sci-fi horror game that plunges players into the unsettling world of alien abductions. Set in the small village of Dunahat, Hungary, the game takes inspiration from real-life UFO sightings reported in the area. Players take on the role of Sadie, a determined woman searching for her missing twin sister. With authorities dismissing her concerns, she embarks on a dangerous journey to uncover the truth behind the mysterious disappearance. Players have praised the game for its tense atmosphere, high-quality visuals, and gripping narrative. Some describe it as a mind-bending alien horror experience, with stunning visuals, immersive sound design, and an eerie ambiance that draws players in. Visage is a first-person psychological horror game where players control Dwayne Anderson, a man trapped in a mysterious house with a dark and tragic past. The gameplay revolves around exploration, with an emphasis on managing sanity. Players must avoid the darkness, as staying in it for too long causes their mental state to deteriorate, making them more vulnerable to the horrors within the house. Limited resources, such as lights and batteries, must be carefully managed as players navigate the unsettling, ever-changing environment. The layout of the house shifts unpredictably, heightening the feeling of unease and mystery. Visage is praised for its psychological depth, immersive atmosphere, and its ability to create tension through subtle and unsettling horror elements. Its design has drawn comparisons to the canceled PT project, as it shares similar themes of psychological terror and constant suspense. In the unsettling world of Darkwood, you awaken as a nameless figure, trapped within a mysterious, ever-expanding forest. A strange plague is turning inhabitants into grotesque creatures, and your primary goal is to escape this arboreal nightmare. The game unfolds from a top-down perspective, offering a unique vantage point that keeps you guessing what's lurking just beyond your line of sight. Your daily routine involves scavenging for supplies, fortifying your hideout, and crafting tools to aid in your survival. Darkwood doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. Instead, it builds a persistent sense of dread that seeps into your psyche. It's a game that challenges you to think, adapt, and question what's real, all while trying to keep your limbs intact. If you're up for a survival horror experience that gets under your skin and stays there, Darkwood is waiting for you. Outlast is a first-person survival horror game that thrusts players into the role of Miles Upshur, an investigative journalist drawn to the remote Mount Massive Asylum in Colorado. Acting on an anonymous tip, Miles infiltrates the facility, only to uncover a nightmarish realm where science and the supernatural intertwine. The asylum, once abandoned, has been reopened by the Murkoff Corporation under a veil of secrecy. As Miles ventures deeper, he encounters deranged inmates and uncovers evidence of horrific experiments. The narrative unfolds through discovered documents and environmental cues, revealing a tapestry of corruption and madness. Miles is defenseless and must rely on stealth to navigate the asylum's treacherous corridors. Armed solely with a camcorder equipped with night vision, players must manage limited battery life to illuminate the darkened environment. The asylum's design is meticulously crafted, with decaying interiors and unsettling sounds that create a constant sense of dread. Each creak and distant scream amplifies the player's anxiety, making every shadow a potential threat. The unpredictable AI of the inmates ensures that danger is ever present, keeping players on edge throughout their journey. Outlast's commitment to a harrowing atmosphere and its innovative use of a powerless protagonist have cemented its status as a standout title in the horror genre. Its ability to evoke fear through environmental storytelling and gripping gameplay offers players a relentless and unforgettable experience. Little Nightmares is a gripping adventure game that invites players in a dark and uncanny world filled with suspense. Players step into the shoes of Six, a young girl dressed in a yellow raincoat, as she attempts to escape the Maw, a massive, nightmarish vessel populated by grotesque creatures and sinister adults. The game takes place in a series of disturbing environments, each more unsettling than the last, where players must solve puzzles, avoid terrifying enemies, and navigate deadly traps. The central narrative is one of childhood fears, blending whimsical horror with emotional depth. Six's journey through the Maw involves interactions with a variety of horrifying characters, such as the janitor, the twin chefs, and the lady, each of whom poses a deadly threat to her survival. The atmosphere is heavy with tension, as players must sneak and hide from enemies, making every moment feel like a terrifying escape. Blair Witch, set in 1996, 2 years after the original film's events. The story follows Ellis Lynch, a former police officer and war veteran, as he joins a search party in the Black Hills Forest near Burkittsville, Maryland, to find a missing boy named Peter Shannon. Accompanied by his loyal dog, Ellis navigates the dense forest, confronting his own troubled past and the forest's unsettling mysteries. The gameplay combines survival horror with psychological elements, presented from a first-person viewpoint. The bond between Ellis and Bullet influences the narrative's progression, leading to multiple possible endings based on player choices. Layers of Fear is a psychological horror game developed by Bloober Team. Players assume the role of a tormented painter navigating his decaying Victorian mansion, unraveling dark secrets about his past and striving to complete his masterpiece. The game emphasizes exploration and puzzle solving, with environments that shift and distort, reflecting the protagonist's deteriorating sanity. The game is presented from a first-person perspective, immersing players in a richly detailed environment filled with supernatural occurrences. As players explore the mansion, they encounter puzzles and hidden objects that shed light on the painter's troubled history. The dynamic setting ensures that no two playthroughs are identical, as the mansion's layout and events change with each experience. Layers of Fear offers a compelling experience for fans of psychological horror, blending narrative depth with immersive gameplay to explore the complexities of the human mind. Ad Infinitum is a psychological horror game set against the backdrop of World War I, blending historical trauma with surreal, nightmarish elements. Players step into the shoes of a soldier suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder as they navigate a chilling, atmospheric world filled with monstrous creatures and eerie visions. The narrative unfolds within the confines of a family home and various war-torn locations. As you progress, you will experience a blend of exploration, stealth, and puzzle solving. There is no conventional combat. Instead, the focus is on evasion and survival as you face grotesque enemies. At times, you'll need to utilize environmental tools, like a gas mask or a wind-up flashlight to survive. The gameplay introduces moments of tension, with chapters culminating in dramatic confrontations that impact the story, allowing for multiple endings depending on player choices. The game's design offers a haunting atmosphere with impressive creature designs, while the setting explores complex themes of family drama and the psychological toll of war. However, Some players may find the pacing uneven at times, with quieter periods where the tension dissipates before building up again. Despite its flaws, Ad Infinitum delivers an immersive horror experience with strong visuals and an emotional, introspective story. Alan Wake 2 is a survival horror game that follows two protagonists. Alan Wake, a famous novelist trapped in an alternate dimension for 13 years, and FBI Special Agent Saga Anderson, investigating a series of ritualistic murders in Bright Falls. Their paths cross as they uncover dark forces manipulating their reality. The gameplay alternates between Alan and Saga, each navigating eerie environments filled with supernatural enemies. Saga's Mind Place lets players connect clues, while Alan uses the writer's room to change his surroundings by rewriting his story. The game's narrative, atmosphere, and visuals were widely praised, with many considering it one of the best horror games of all times. Set in December 1975, Still Wakes the Deep transports players to the Beira D oil rig, stationed off Scotland's coast. Players assume the role of Cameron Kaz McCleary, an electrician confronting a catastrophic event that unleashes an unfathomable horror from the ocean's depths. This malevolent force begins to warp the rig's structure and distort the minds and bodies of the crew. The game emphasizes survival mechanics, requiring players to navigate the deteriorating rig, evade monstrous entities, and utilize stealth tactics. Without weapons or supernatural abilities, survival hinges on quick thinking and adaptability. The environment's dynamic nature, influenced by severe weather and structural instability, adds layers of tension and unpredictability. Alien Isolation is a survival horror game that places players in the shoes of Amanda Ripley, the daughter of the iconic Ellen Ripley. Set 15 years after the original 1979 film, the narrative unfolds aboard the Sevastopol space station, a decommissioned trading hub on the fringes of space. Amanda embarks on a perilous journey to uncover the truth behind her mother's disappearance, only to encounter a deadly alien presence lurking in the shadows. The game emphasizes stealth and resourcefulness. A standout feature of Alien Isolation is its advanced artificial intelligence, which allows the alien to adapt to the player's actions, creating a dynamic and suspenseful experience. The game's retro-futuristic art direction and meticulous attention to detail in the environment design contribute to a convincing science fiction world, with machines and settings that are functional and utilitarian, rather than overtly futuristic. Inscryption is a distinctive blend of roguelike deck building, escape room puzzles, and psychological horror. The game has been lauded for its originality, card battle mechanics, and captivating narrative. Players find themselves in a dark cabin, compelled to play a card game against a mysterious opponent. The gameplay involves placing wildlife-themed cards on a board, where they automatically engage opposing cards or directly attack the adversary. Success requires strategic sacrifices, as certain cards necessitate the forfeiture of others to be played. This card game is intertwined with escape room elements, allowing players to explore the cabin and uncover hidden secrets that influence the card game and the overarching narrative. The game's atmosphere is intentionally eerie and oppressive, enhanced by its low-fidelity, retro-inspired visuals and unsettling audio design. This creates a sense of unease that permeates the experience, making each discovery and encounter feel significant and haunting. Silent Hill 2 is a psychological horror game in which players control James Sunderland, who returns to the eerie town of Silent Hill following a letter from his deceased wife. The town, once filled with memories, is now a ghostly, fog-covered place, haunted by terrifying monsters. Players must move around the city, battle disturbing creatures, and search for traces of James's wife in this unsettling remake of the classic Silent Hill 2. The game delves into themes of grief and personal guilt while offering atmospheric terror and a depressive horror experience. This version of Silent Hill 2 includes enhanced visuals and updated mechanics, offering both longtime fans and newcomers an opportunity to explore the haunting world with a fresh perspective. Kletka is a cooperative survival horror game. Set in a dystopian world, it plunges players into the depths of a dangerous gigastructure, where they are tasked with navigating an ominous elevator that feeds on its passengers. The primary challenge is to keep the elevator alive by feeding it a combination of fuel and flesh, creating a high-stakes atmosphere where cooperation and betrayal are key to survival. Players can form teams of up to 4 to descend through increasingly perilous floors. The game thrives on its cooperative gameplay mechanics, where each player must contribute in different ways to keep the elevator alive. However, friendships can quickly become strained as the elevator becomes hungrier, and survival may require sacrificing teammates. Players can expect a brutal, engaging experience with elements similar to other cooperative horror games, such as Lethal Company. DREDGE is a captivating single-player adventure game. In this title, players take on the role of a fisherman exploring a mysterious archipelago, dredging the seabed for valuable items while uncovering dark secrets. Set in an atmospheric world filled with unsettling and mutant sea creatures, DREDGE blends elements of fishing with exploration and psychological horror. As players venture deeper into the waters, they must manage their boat, upgrade it, and maintain a balance between collecting resources and surviving the increasingly ominous surroundings. The game's narrative builds around uncovering the mystery behind these strange waters and the supernatural occurrences that plague the region. DREDGE uses fog as a key atmospheric tool, creating a tense and sinister sense of isolation, especially during night cycles where visibility is limited. The more players dredge, the more they encounter horrific sea monsters and distortions, making the game's progression both challenging and unsettling. Sons of the Forest is an immersive survival horror game that thrusts players into a perilous open-world environment teeming with dangers and mysteries. As the sequel to the acclaimed The Forest, it continues the narrative of a protagonist dispatched to a remote island to locate a missing CEO and his family. Upon arrival, the protagonist encounters a hostile landscape inhabited by cannibalistic creatures and uncovers a deep-seated ancient secret lurking beneath the surface. The game offers a rich, expansive world where players can craft, build, and fight to survive, either solo or with friends. The dynamic season system introduces challenges such as resource scarcity during winter, requiring players to adapt their strategies accordingly. The introduction of a companion, Kelvin, a deaf and mute NPC, adds a layer of depth to the gameplay, allowing for cooperative tasks and enhanced immersion. Tormented Souls is a survival horror game that draws inspiration from classic survival horror titles like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, featuring fixed camera angles and a modernized control scheme. Players assume the role of Caroline Walker, who investigates the disappearance of twin girls in the ominous Wildberger Hospital. The narrative unfolds through environmental storytelling, with Caroline uncovering dark secrets and facing grotesque creatures as she delves deeper into the hospital's mysteries. Gameplay involves exploring the abandoned hospital, solving intricate puzzles, and engaging in combat with limited resources, emphasizing strategic planning and resource management. The game also incorporates a unique mechanic where players can use VHS tapes to travel between different timelines, adding depth to the exploration and puzzle-solving elements. Amnesia Rebirth is a first-person survival horror game. Set in 1937, players assume the role of Tassi Trianon, a pregnant woman who survives a plane crash in the Algerian desert. As Tassi, players navigate through desolate landscapes, ancient ruins, and otherworldly environments to uncover the fate of her missing companions and piece together her fragmented memories. The game emphasizes exploration and puzzle solving, requiring players to manage limited resources like matches and a fuel lamp to illuminate dark areas. Avoiding darkness is crucial, as prolonged exposure can induce hallucinations and heighten fear. Encounters with supernatural entities necessitate stealth and evasion. Amnesia Rebirth has been praised for its atmospheric design and compelling narrative. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support means the world to me. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.